All right, everybody, welcome this to Arsenal Fan Circle. Got to get into the routine again, Tony. Welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle. This is the Thursday night forum. There you go. I remember how to do this thing, Tony. Listen, it's been a little. It's been maybe last Sunday. I missed the Thursday night last time. It was my birthday last week. You remember that, Tony? You remember birthdays? I'm not gonna mention how old I am. You know what I mean? But within those years, Tony, there's a lot of Arsenal memories, a lot of Arsenal good times, a lot of Arsenal bad times. We remember the good ones, we remember the bad ones, the Arsenal years. So yeah, my birthday last Thursday, and Sunday.
No.
Sunday, what am I doing? I'm celebrating. Last Sunday, I'm celebrating. I'm watching my Philadelphia Eagles go to the Super Bowl.
With
So
my Jalen Hurts.
you're Jalen Hurts. So listen, real quick, and Alonzo's not here because he probably appreciate this conversation. It's going to be a very, very interesting Super Bowl, and much like Manchester City, can the hated Kansas City Chiefs three-peat? Can they get three in a row? Or will the wealth of attacking options that Jalen Hurts has in Saquon Barkley and a receiving core and an offensive line win out the day as well against that defense against Spagnola
Where is it this year again?
down in Louisiana, New Orleans?
In the Superdome.
Yes, yes.
So that gives Philadelphia a little bit of
I look. I've been watching. I've been watching a little bit of Receivers on Netflix as well. Get me into the mood of things, and I'll tell you what. Those guys take a hit in the middle of the field. They're taking punishment on their body. Uh, so my thoughts, anyway, Tony, was I came up with the title here of the show, the Michael Oliver Twist story, and I thought by Thursday, this would be like last yesterday's news. You know what I mean? I would the trash, but there's still more to this story even today, Tony. When we've Arsenal have been charged with bringing their players into disrepute, you know.
from what just time wasted and everything else there.
Well, how dare Arsenal players protest against a red card that, to the letter of the law, you can make a case for it to the letter of the law, but you ask 1,000 people on the street if that's a red card. Those people who know their football, right? You ask them, is that a red card? You might get one person off the street, one in 1,000.
That,
That
that, that
person,
now that person would be me because letter of the law, red card. I don't care what other refs do in other games when it's called, when it's not called, because it's fucking inconsistent. It's a pretty simple rule. You're endangering the player. You're coming in with your studs up. It's a red card. Sorry.
Tony, you see these three times every weekend. In three different games, you will see a challenge like that three times. And I don't care if you're setting the standards, but every referee has to adhere to those standards. But
So that's what
I
my
still
problem is,
disagree with
though.
you. I still disagree with you. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's no way God, in this God's great earth, that this would be a red card. And
Yeah.
listen, I know we're talking about a results back in last weekend at Wolverhampton Wanderers, but Miles Lewis Skelly. Listen, for me, I love the kid, but he has been sailing close to the wind. He's been getting involved in things, and maybe this is something a little lesson for him to learn as well. He did get the three-match ban, but was since rescinded with the through an independent commission. But The PGMOL have sought fit to slap Arsenal on the hands again with this charge today.
Do you remember what I call VAR?
When you called VAR,
What do I call VAR?
don't know.
Video hindrance referee.
Video hindrance, video interference referee, and indeed, we're going to get a little bit more. Listen, let's delve back into Michael Oliver. Uh, Absolute disgrace. Michael Oliver was not meant to step down to a championship game. You know, have Leeds fans experience what Michael Oliver is in the championship. Send them down to the championship. They've actually admitted a little bit of guilt in this that he's taken Southampton and Ipswich. And listen, like every other podcast and every other normal person, I'm going to say Arsenal fans and football fans, by and large, are good people, normal people, and are passionate about their club and about what happens in their club. But you cross the line when you bring somebody's family or their children into it, So they are not people, as far as I'm concerned. The people who go and create these vile internet attacks on a referee. Listen, I've been very very vocal about this, as you know, Tony, and I've even crossed over into the corruption feelings about the PGMOL, because, like it or not, Tony, we have been officiated differently this season to any other team in the land. We have been officiated as if we're, from the south, the southern in London. There's probably a clear difference between London clubs and northern clubs, and a lot of these referees come from the north as well. So, Stephen, thanks for being here. Evening, all on a work break, so we'll be in and out. I do appreciate you dropping in comments as well. Bargavs is here as well. While Tottenham just Menace look like amateurs, reports say they just signed Tell. Yeah, this is a player from Bayern Munich who has, he doesn't have he may be a good player. He's going to Tottenham, and I don't know if that's going to help them. But
Did did they use his buyout clause?
more than likely, good win, business done, says Bargav, and no other way than going through the fire. Challenge the charge, set up a TV and computer, and showed dozens upon dozens of refs being surrounded with no charges, and walk out while it's playing. Then have a message at the end saying, "Get real." Exactly, Stephen. Why is it always the Arsenal players who are being reprimanded? Why is it not Manchester City or Liverpool players doing this? You know, we seem to be
Ah,
the ones who are. We seem to be the ones who get these charges, Tony. We seem to be the ones who are officiated against in the harshest terms. And I'm not going to bore everybody by going through all of the red cards that we've had this season that you could not, you would struggle to find examples of similar incidents with other teams throughout this season. Do not tell me that it's not a concerted effort against Arsenal. A
it's
concerted
not.
effort. Do not tell me that. Do not tell me that. I just said, do not tell me that. Skelly
Ah,
needs his minutes. Exactly, Bargaff. Skelly. Tony, I will give you props. Skelly and Nwaneri have been, we wanted it, not just going to say you, right? We wanted to see these players come through as well. And you
my,
have been very
my,
vocal
my,
about it, though.
my problem with it is what do you see in either one of these players that they come up played last year?
Youth,
We
maybe
played
youth.
we played plenty of 16-year-olds.
I think, I think
Go
you
ask
never know.
Fabregas.
With these
What
players, I think it's fair, Tony, to say you never know what Mazzio Skelly would have done if you'd given him minutes at left back. You never know what Nwaneri, how he could have taken to it. But I was thinking about in the car today. Probably Ethan Nwaneri has scored at least 5 or 6 goals across 3 competitions. He's got at least a couple of Premier League goals that I can remember. He's got at least two or
I,
three in the
I
League
think
Cup, and
I
he's
think
just
he was
scored
at
Champions League.
I, I think he was at 5 going into that game.
Huh? He was on 5 going into
He,
that game.
he, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Bargav, I would have liked to have seen Butler or Oyedeji also if we're short on a striker. I was hoping against Aston Villa. That's when I called it last time. Bring him on against Aston Villa. But we know what happened to us against Aston Villa, and we'll be talking about a certain striker who scored against us, um, playing Aston Villa the last couple of times. But yeah, also a couple of other things I would do if we're starved of a position, um, going through the middle as a striker. Martinelli, let's try Martinelli there. We know Trossard can do the false nine as well, and the false nine position would be able to feed Martinelli on the left and not Bukayo Saka anymore, but maybe Ethan Nwaneri on the right. You know. So Tony, go ahead.
I, I still wish we would just go with a back three. We have players. Pretty much all our center backs and fullbacks can play both positions. Some do it for their countries. But if we're to attack from a fullback position, you might as well make them wing backs and play three. So you have a set defense. Then all your midfielders are attacking. Then your wing backs pay attention to where the ball is and don't get too advanced past football.
Yeah.
It's simple. Or you could
Well,
go that, or you could go back to work when Odegaard first got hurt. Go to 4-4-2. That was working quite well with Havertz, and
I
I
mean,
mean,
I think it
to,
worked. Worked
it's all
for
down to Trossard's vision is what really makes that
yeah,
work.
yeah. Of course, the mistakes that we made, Mikel Arteta, I think, made this season was we did try that tactic you said 4-4-2. We did play that for a couple of games during the first couple of games of Odegaard's absence, but then we reverted back to type and tried to go back to a system, and we just did not have any creativity without Odegaard in the side. The other thing here's Stevens. Well, yeah, I was right. About 6 goals. One area has two EPL goals in the Carabao Cup. We're clinging. Oh, the English Premier League goals. Sorry, EPL English Premier League goals, um, and one at Brighton, I remember, and 3 in the Carabao Cup that we are clinging to with nails on a chalkboard. Hopefully, uh, we don't scrape off in the second leg. And that one Champions League goal here against Girona yesterday. So Ethan Nwaneri has been a bright spot, and you could actually say that Miles Lewis Skelly has been probably a brighter spot. If you were to rate, yeah, Tony, if you were to rate so far the seasons of Nwaneri and Miles Lewis Skelly, who would be your young, let's say there's a young player of the year, an Arsenal young player of the year, who would be tipping the scales for you?
Um, I would choose Nwaneri if Arteta played him more, but he hasn't had enough play time to. But I think I have to go to Skelly, even though I think Nwaneri's the better player.
Yeah. And we could probably revisit this toward the end of the season, but they both stepped forward in a sense where Arsenal have struggled this year, Tony.
Hey,
We've not really hit the heights so far this season. Here we are. Uh, By the time we kick off on Sunday, it'll be February.
yeah,
And can you say that we've really hit our stride yet?
Um, we've had some patches in there, but
Yeah.
I don't think we've have. I just don't get why Arteta, when Odegaard went out, he didn't choose Nwaneri. Saka goes out, then he gets to basically play where he was, where Odegaard plays, and now Odegaard's more up into the attack. Still not a 10, but not so
Look,
much of a 8 lately.
here we are. We'll go back to the Wolves game shortly. Before we go back to that, here's our wins and draws, and we've drawn quite a few games this season. Um, the points in the season where you would like to have strong 6 or 7, 8 wins together have been interfered and interrupted by draws. We've only lost those 2 games, away to Newcastle and away to Bournemouth. And we'll talk about Bournemouth a little bit later when it comes to Liverpool this weekend. Um, but a lot of draws have stopped us from actually stringing a lot of wins together, Tony. So we've only gone really in sequences of 3 wins in a row without it being stopped by a draw.
I've said this plenty on Gary's show, but Trip, that you I would rather there's 1 point difference, draw, loss. I would rather throw everything in the just throw caution to the wind, go attack, try to win the game.
Mm.
I mean, if you win, that's 2 more points.
Yeah, yeah.
If you lose, that's just 1 point lost. If you're setting at a draw, so to me, it's almost like he's playing into a draw because at like 15 minutes he sets up so defensively. Then we always have the error in us to.
And even despite not playing our best football, a lot of our players being injured, a lot of our players being out of form. I see the injury list getting easier and getting better for us. I see players coming back into form. Declan Rice, he scored against Dynamo Zagreb. He's played quite well in some games as well. We still
Because he's finally being played as an attacker and not the defensive role.
we've seen still Odegaard struggling. Um, there's certain players that we need to play better. Squad players. Let's say Raheem Sterling missing a penalty. Did we miss 2 penalties against Girona?
I know he missed one. I don't know if he missed
Yeah,
two or not.
we miss. Raheem Sterling missed the one. Odegaard refusing or passing on the responsibility of the penalty as well. Jorginho scoring as well, and Ethan Nwaneri. So listen, it's been a strange all season. Ben White is due to come back. He's back in training. Nwaneri has just come back as well. So players are coming back from injury, but we do have long-term injuries that are affecting us. It has been. We're going to get into the transfer window. We're going to get into a lot of things tonight. So listen, we'll bounce around a little bit, but I want to stick. I want to stick on this Wolves game a little bit and continue to chat about Michael Oliver. But Tony, it was so important against Wolverhampton Wanderers to actually keep pace and not drop any points because I believe actually for once Liverpool played the game at the same time as us. The last 2 weekends they've had the advantage of playing ahead of us, and listen, I think it's a big advantage when your opponent can play first and is able to get 3 points on the board. That puts a little bit of pressure on you as a team, and I think they
But
actually Arsenal played after afterwards because they had seen the Liverpool results, and that put some pressure on us at Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Shouldn't it be that you're better off starting later, knowing what you have to do? You're like,
No,
oh, I
no,
have to get through 3 points.
I disagree. And people in chat box, all seven of you, hit that button, smash it, but also let us know. Would you prefer to play your game before Liverpool, or would you prefer Liverpool to go first? So, and the thing about this, Tony, is the psychology, right? We've been 6 points behind Liverpool for the last 2 months. I'd like to get to a point where we've played our game, we've got 3 points, and we're 3 points behind them, and they're going into their game knowing psychologically Arsenal have gotten closer to us now. All we're talking about all of this with that extra game in hand as well, which will sort itself out on the 12th of February when Liverpool do play Everton. But let me know in the chat box. Nick Fadley's in the house as well. He's joined us. Thanks, Nick, for being here. Tiger and Gooner, we are back. Missed you last Thursday and Sunday. My birthday and celebrating watching the Eagles go to the Super Bowl was two things. But Arsenal, Arsenal number one, and I want to see Arsenal win this title this season. I have not given up hope. If the gap had gone, Tony, to 9 points with a game in hand, or past 10 points in reality, then I'd start putting up a white flag a little bit. But today I'm looking at we're running out of games, and I'm looking at Liverpool at the weekend going to a tight ground at Bournemouth. And Bournemouth under Andoni Areola have improved their pressing somewhat. So I'm really impressed with Bournemouth this season. Obviously, they've beaten City there. They've beaten us there. They've gotten some very good results there, and I expect them to follow through and get 3 points against Liverpool on the weekend.
Does it? Does Areola show us his pepperoni?
Shows what?
Pepperoni.
Pepperoni. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know where you're going with this one. Steven said Odegaard isn't fit right now. You can tell by the fact that he's not pressing like he was before the injury. Yeah, I think that injury might have had a lingering effect on him. Manchidi, Manchidi's best ever signing, Michael Oliver Corruption. Oliver, nice one. I like it. Oliver Corruption. Go ahead, Tony. Auckland.
Just think of what an areola is. Very right. You'll get my joke.
Nick said Forest 1, Brighton 1, Newcastle 2-1, Everton 2-1, Ipswich 2-1, Bournemouth 2, Liverpool 2. We need to win. We need the Bournemouth win. They beat Nottingham Forest 5-0 last weekend at their place. Aston Villa 2-0, Brentford 2 with Spurs 2, and Arsenal 2-1. Right? 2-1 City. I don't think so. And Chelsea. But yeah, Tony, what was your thoughts on the Wolves game? You know, we needed that win. We needed 3 points to maintain the pressure or stay in this race. Just stay in the race. And so it was a hella nervous game.
Yeah, it's one of those that you tried to put to bed earlier, but overall, it was disappointing. I still think it was a red card. Don't see any conspiracy in it. But like I said, the only thing is it needs to be called all the time.
You're never going to get that. You're never going to get consistency with these people that are officiating our game and they're taking the best product. They're taking the best game in the world, the best league in the world, and they are just destroying it, Tony. Just destroying it with their own ideas of how to run the game. And here's the biggest thing I have. The biggest problem I have is you have a referee who should be checked by VAR. The referee should be literally checked by VAR and the crew at Oxley Park or whatever you call it, and they should be telling Michael Oliver he's made a mistake. But at the end of the day, they're a bunch of buddies who go down to the pub afterwards and have a few beers, and they're too friendly with each other, and they don't want to call each other out, and that's just the problem, the big problem with it.
That I talked about this Monday. NBA, you have the review center there in Secaucus. But the thing is, it's overseen by the head of officiating.
Yeah,
And they have other referees that look at it, but the final decision's based off of what the head official says. So that way, you know the person knows the rules. If you're the head official, then they'll give you the audio that they're talking about in there. They don't do it for every call, but every call audio is there. The
let's
broadcasters would want to go to it.
yeah, let's take some of the incidents into hand as well. So Laszlo Skelly gets sent off. Maybe this comes afterwards, right? But Gomez gets his first yellow card for kicking the ball away. Finally, we start to see an incident where one player from another team has been cautioned in the same way as Leandro Trossard was cautioned, or in the same way that Declan Rice was cautioned. Kicking the ball, allegedly time wasting. And so he goes in the yellow card. Did you have any issues with Gomez's first yellow card?
No.
No? Okay. So Miles Lewis Skelly gets sent off on a breakaway, and a little bit of a rash thing for him to do in terms of I have no issue with the foul. I have no issue with a professional foul. Arsenal have started to adopt this way of playing because they've witnessed it. They've been dealt what you call dark arts by Manchester City and other teams like Liverpool and even Manchester United. Arsenal have learned how to play how in the grown ups playground, right? No,
But
hold on a
that's what
second. But we've learned how to do this, Tony. We've learned how to play. The problem is that certain referees don't like the fact that our Arsenal and the media don't like the fact that Arsenal has adopted this way of playing. More importantly, that Arsenal have become successful, and this is the bigger issue. They cannot stand Arsenal becoming successful and being right on the precipice of winning major silverware.
is it surprising with Skelly playing next to Gabriel that he's learned to try to do these dark art things, but he's not quite there yet to be able to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I think he has that brashness of youth. He gets involved in these things, and we love it as a fan base, right? Because he's fighting. He's fighting for the badge. He's playing from his heart because he loves Arsenal. And a recent interview, he wants to go up against the best, and he has no qualms about competing at the top level. And this is a player who's going to be great for us. And because the red card is being rescinded, I would expect him to be able to play against Manchester City, and that's something to look forward to against the likes of Erling Haaland. Stay humble, Erling. But I just think that he didn't quite take the player down in the right manner. You kick his foot or flick his feet in a way that he's going to catch his other foot and fall down. We've all tried that as kids, right? We've tried to flick a foot from someone and they go and they fall over. Mazu Skelly was a little bit reckless now. I'm not siding with Michael Oliver at all because you're absolutely right, Tiger and Gunner. He is literally a knob. Oliver is the head knob, literally. But it's called a professional foul. And listen, like I said, 999 people are going to agree that that's just the yellow card. The one person in 1,000 happened to be Michael Oliver. I think there's a little bit of uh, premeditation here. He's gonna do Arsenal again at every chance. You know what I mean that he gets. Steven said, "Would you trust Webb to make the right call? The man who rehired Mason back after being fired for incompetence." I won't mention Webb's history with Arsenal as a ref. No, I don't trust them at all. And you know, who did we have? We had Peter. We had Peter. We're going to have Peter Story, I think, or Peter Banks, or whatever his name is, on Sunday. We're going to have him for Manchester City, and it's at the Emirates. And you know, we're hoping Liverpool is going to lose to Bournemouth, but we're also hoping that we're going to get a fair crack with the officiating on Sunday when Manchester United come to town. And this is Manchester City. And it's a Manchester City team that, some people are thinking it's reawakening. They're getting good results. But Arsenal really are going to need these 3 points um, come Sunday.
What what I believe that got
Make
the
sure
spot.
you're smashing the like button and subbing to these two gents. Thank you very much, Rosie. Appreciate it. Webb was United's 12th man back then.
Yep.
Who was our captain against Wolves? Gabriel Magalhaes was the captain against Wolves. Go ahead, Tony. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say what put us in the spotlight is what we started like 2.5 years ago with all these bad throw-ins, delayed throw-ins, and you see that time
What,
being
Tony?
wasted. You've seen games with us, Ray, that they had 12 minutes,
Mhm. Tony,
and
I'm going to ask you
that's
one question, though, Tony. Were we doing anything that other teams had not been doing?
I've never seen so many players step across the line like Ben White was. I mean, it's like he's never did a throw in before. It's like you know what you do, you know what you can do by it. One thing that doesn't help is the players don't move to create any space
Mm.
so they can do what they always do on throw-ins. You throw it in, you kick
Oh,
it back to the guy that threw it in. That's what you do.
yeah.
It's simple. It's a sideways pass to an open person, then it's back to the open person that just came into the field of play.
Well, so
It's not hard.
yeah, you're just like Stuart Robson. You're never going to give Arsenal any credit for anything at all. You're always going to take the
And,
opposition side, and you're always going to take the officiating
and,
side and the
and,
referee. You got a referee shirt underneath that blue thing you're wearing right now. You know, where's your whistle,
and
Tony?
I can go put on my referee looking shirt.
You're a referee wannabe. That's where because you like that authoritarianism too. You like to tell people what's what. You'd love to be a referee. I could just see it right now.
Yeah,
You in
but
black and white.
I would go by the letter of a damn law. It's
But it
not
was
that
you need to
complicated.
get yourself a whistle and go on the trip and get yourself some cards as well for Gary. Blow your whistle and give him a yellow card if he ever you know gets out of line there.
Hey, frog.
All right. So, Tony, we talked about Mazda Skelly sending off into the first thing in the second half. What happens to Gomez? He kicks the ball away again. First few minutes in the second half. Um, clearly another issue of time wasting. He was booked in the first half. What say you about that incident?
It's it's the way it's refereed. Usually, if you
For you, are you blowing the whistle? Are you taking the yellow or red card out?
um Probably yellow, so that would mean 2 yellows. They'd be
Well, that'll
red
be two
anyway.
yellows, then that's your red, right? You know,
Yeah.
instead of having to wait till 69th minute for that to happen. And look, he knew he was so fortunate to get away with that one as well. He kicked the ball away on the sideline, and but 20-25 minutes later, it's a game that Arsenal are. It feels like we're losing, right? To me, I felt like we were losing. It was 0-0. We weren't winning. And so for me, the feeling was we were actually losing that game because my thoughts were we cannot drop any more points to Liverpool.
What'd we do, Ray?
What do we do? Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to the Italian. You know what I mean? The money did go. Some of the money from the summer did go to an Italian player. Now, this is after. This is 3 minutes after a second yellow card for Gomez with the challenge on Urian Timber. Now, I thought Urian Timber had a great game, so I'm going to put him forward for the Tony Don Juan man of the match. I thought he was brilliant. It was his play, it was his interception that allowed or made Gomez think that he could take a nibble. And again, this is probably Tony. This is probably more dangerous than Miles Lewis Skelly in the first half.
Probably.
Probably. Well, why didn't your referee and friend Michael Oliver, why didn't he produce a red card straight away instead of a second yellow for Gomez?
Don't ask me, Ray.
Do you have Michael Oliver's number on your phone?
A lot of them are just really slow for that.
Hi, Gary. Gary.
There,
Hello, hello, hello.
there, there's a lot of leadway on that second. Yeah, if you get that second yellow, they don't want to give it. So it's usually later in the game if they give it.
You're right. They do give a lot of leeway, even though the incident right on the start at the start of the second half is eerily similar to the yellow card that he got in the first half. So 10 versus 10. Arsenal players are celebrating. When this red card comes, we're struggling a little bit to get a goal, to be honest. But when this red card comes, you see Gabriel Magalhaes jumping up in the air celebrating because we're going to have a chance to play. If you want to include the referee, 10 versus 11. It had been 10 versus 12, but in reality, Tony, there's 10 Arsenal players and there's 10 Wolverhampton Wanderer players, and there's a guy who's wearing black and white or whatever the freak color he's wearing, cyan, but he's on their cyan. You know what I mean? He's on their side. But we have a chance, right? 10 versus 10. You think, okay, there's plenty of time in this game, 20 minutes to go, plus added time. We could go ahead and maybe win this game.
Yeah, you end up with extra space, so it's easier to pass, easier to progress the ball forward.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
plus if you do the counter, then it's usually 9 versus 10 because they don't have time to get there.
Before we talk about the Calafiori goal, the all important 3 points that we hopefully will remember these 3 points at the end of the season, that they will mean something. Let's talk about Cunha. This is a player, and we'll probably talk about Arsenal's window in January so far. But this is a player that we maybe were linked to. I was ultimately not impressed by him.
I thought he was doing pretty good.
You thought he did okay?
Yeah.
We rode our luck a little bit, right? Let's talk about David Raya. We rode our luck a little bit in that period leading up to the red card, the second yellow, whatever you want to call it. Cunha had a chance from a corner, hits it just wide, and then Nwaneri comes through, and David Raya makes a fantastic save. Our goalkeeper producing two great saves on the day. And listen, you can say a lot of things about other goalkeepers, but I think David Raya has stepped to the fore when we needed him most this season. Tony, you could arguably say David Raya has been our player of the season so far.
I don't know. You at this point, you still have to go with Saka. He hasn't missed enough games yet where I would pick Raya over him.
Tiger and Gunnar said Olivia didn't want to send the Wolves player out, but he had no chance. Oliver didn't want to send. Yeah, you got that sense, Tiger and Gunnar, that Michael Oliver was like, but the Arsenal players are pointing to that challenge. They've actually been. I think the frustration has pented up so much in the Arsenal players that they realize Kefir.
Look, right.
That's good stuff, no?
Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland. Actually, you look a bit like Kiefer Sutherland, no?
A little bit.
Oliver didn't want to send the player off, but he had no choice. Yeah, listen, the thing that tells me, Tiger, and many people have said this, the thing that tells me is that Arsenal's being refed more stringently and to a higher degree is that we get a red card. We get a straight red card for something like Mazzo Skelly did, but Gomez gets a second yellow. So there's no idea of just giving that a straight red at all. And that's what's very striking to me with Michael Oliver. We're since that has since gone to a independent review, and the red card is being rescinded. So Mazdo Scally could be available to play on Sunday, and today the club has been charged with bringing their players into disrepute. Well, if you know that you've been transgressed against, or something bad has happened and you feel unjust, that it's been unjust, then you're going to protest and you're going to want to get around the referee and talk to him about it. And we are not the only club who does this thing, yeah. Listen, there's many instances where other clubs have had something similar happen to them. They do the same things and they don't get charged.
And sometimes what happens, right? The yellow card comes up because you're fouling the ref like you're not supposed to.
10v10. We're happy about this. 3 or 4 minutes later, Tony, we get the breakthrough, right? Arsenal had been in decent control of the game. I think the red card has allowed Thomas Partey to move into midfield a little bit more. You might have seen a little bit more of that movement from the fullback area into midfield, inverting. So you got your three at the back maybe when we were down to 10, Tony. And our control in midfield was enough now to start tipping the balance toward us. And, the cross comes in from Martinelli. And it's aimed for, I think, for Kai Havertz. The keeper is waiting for this. The defender intercepts it, doesn't get a good enough header away. And what's to do? It drops to Calafiori, and he just has, the perfect kind of connection. You're going into someone else's house. You're playing away from home. It's not an easy environment to play in. Things are not familiar to you like the Emirates would be. And you grab 3 points at the end of the day, Tony.
Yep, 3 points. But I'm still disappointed as California as a signing. I think Skelly's here and Calafiori might be here.
Yeah. Listen, we wanted to see our academy players doing well, and look, in real talk here, he probably has.
Some of us,
he's been better than Calafiori this season, but don't sleep on Ricardo Calafiori. I think he's been very good for us this season. Remember the goal against Manchester City. At the end of the day, we got a point out of that one. from his goal, and against Wolverhampton Wanderers we get 3 points. So,
I-
Calafiori has provided 4 points to us that we might again look back at the end of the season and say
but
those
he's
were a
probably
handy
taken.
4 points that we needed.
But let's look at how many points he's taken away. Several times he's let a player get by him because he's too far up the pitch. That's led to
Yeah.
goals.
What's the name of the referee this day? Is Peter Banks or Peter Story? Peter Banks, I think it is. I think it's Peter
I don't
Banks.
know, Ray. I try not to remember these guys' names because
He's a nerdy looking guy, Tony. You know.
there's every other sport. I only know 2 or 3 refs. I don't want to know all the Premier League refs, which
Tiger
I
Gooder.
do.
I believe it is Peter Banks that will be taking it. Oliver was supposed to be refereeing the Man City game. Who's doing it now? I think it's absolutely crazy that Michael Oliver is taking our games, and I think the club is right, and the Arsenal fans have been right in saying we don't ever want Michael Oliver, and I'm gonna throw in Anthony Taylor in there into that mix as well. We don't ever want these two referees to take Arsenal games again. Down under, Tony, says Tiger. The Kefir. Or was that the Kiefer? Could be down under. I don't know. Maybe that's what the reference was. Peter Story used to play for Arsenal. Yeah, because that's where I'm getting them mixed up for Tiger as well. That's Peter Banks.
Terry, you right.
Peter Story, yeah. Okay, so so important. I think you can't underestimate, rival fans online, Tony. It's important to get 3 points against Wolverhampton Wanderers because if we had drawn that game or lost points or lost that game, Liverpool fans would be all over you on social media, giving it large. And actually, they were actually probably rubbing their hands at the fact that Michael Oliver had sent off Miles Lewis Kelly. Arsenal were down to 10 and looked like they were going to draw a game. You know what I mean? But much like Brentford away from home, where Darwin Núñez, a substitute, has come on to win the game, and Liverpool flexing their substitute bench. Well, we can probably rep the same thing with Calafiori, comes off the bench and grabs the goal for us. We go home with 3 points against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Very, very important game to get 3 points from.
Yeah, we needed the points.
You be excited, Tony. Be excited. We are in this title race still. I'm not feeling enthusiasm from you. I'm not feeling excitement. But maybe this weekend, maybe on Sunday, you'll feel a little bit more as Arsenal beat Man City and Liverpool having lost to Bournemouth. There's not many chance. There's not many rounds left, right? There's 14, 15 rounds left in the Premier League. So Liverpool are going to come into a tricky stretch of games now coming up. Bournemouth away from home. They got to play Villa away from home. They got to play Everton away from home. So there's certainly going to be opportunities, and there needs to be more opportunities where Arsenal have had a good weekend and Liverpool have not.
They're not going to be worried about Everton, right?
They're not going to be worried about Everton and David Moyes. Resurgence of Everton and David Moyes. Everton got a win at Brighton. I picked it, Tony, in the upset challenge. Now, let me just put the upset challenge scores up here because you're going on record as you don't want to play anymore. You don't want to be involved in this anymore, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because I've missed like eight picks. I haven't got picks in for. So.
Okay, but you're still.
And one of those times, right? All 3 teams that I was thinking about, all 3 of them won, and the least points was
Wait,
7.
you only get to pick one of them. So listen, if
Yeah,
we
yeah. I went to the wrong fucking
you're
week.
still ahead of you're level with Tom, you're ahead of Stan, and you're ahead of Gary. So right now, even though you're complaining, you're only 8 points off top. Sam is on top, Alonso's second, I'm third, and you're in fourth place. So let's not worry about the points that you dropped, but let's worry about the points that you can pick up now, Tony, going forward. So get back in the game, you know,
So,
get back in that saddle, get back in that
so,
saddle,
so,
Tony.
Sawhurst Park.
Yeah, always pick Sellers Park, right? Um, all right, so that's Wolverhampton Wanderers. Let's talk about the Champions League real quickly, Tony. We talked about the Champions League earlier this season, and what do you think of the new format?
It's interesting. We'll see a clearer picture after 2 or 3 years.
What?
But do you know what? Do you know what we have, Bray?
What do we have?
You have most people liking or loving this new format. But do you remember where this format came from?
No,
You
where?
you, you you don't remember that it came from teams like Arsenal, Liverpool, City,
Like,
the
as in, like
the
the main clubs in Europe. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah because that's what they wanted. They originally wanted 10 games, but they came up with the Monday. They came up with it Sunday when the vote was Monday. This new format, and guess what happened? They got what they wanted. A few months later, 2 games were taken from them. They didn't give it 10 games. They wanted 10 games because that means five of your games are at home. A lot more income
Mm.
because you can charge a lot more for. But that's what we have. We have the champions. This Champions League is equal to the European League because people are like, "Oh, they're gonna leave the league." No, they were not leaving the league. They were just having. I think it was 12 permanent teams in there,
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Tony. I'll
and
tell you one thing, and we just got off the topic of Wolverhampton Wanderers. We got off the topic of talking about Michael Oliver. We moved on from the PGMOL. We've moved on from an independent commission finding Miles Lewis Skelly innocent of his actions. We moved on from the club being slapped with a slap in the hands and a fine by the FA. And I'll tell you what you will find in Europe, Tony. You'll find a better standard of refereeing, a better standard of officiating, and a better
uh,
group of referees who actually
uh,
know how to apply the rules to the game. You know,
that's what I was asked. Do you go for foreign refs or do you go for amateur refs?
I'd go. I mean, if it was up to me, and I'm Howard Webb, right, and I'm trying to reform this group of people, that we have the best. What we say, it might not be the highest standard of football in the world, but we have the most exciting. We have the most exciting league in the world. I I would say it is. You have quality now from 1 to 10 in the Premier League, and then you have a real relegation battle where Manchester United and Tottenham are in the lower reaches of the Premier League. But you, we're gonna go. We go to a Nottingham Forest, and we're gonna get a bloody good game at Nottingham Forest. We've gone to Bournemouth and got our nose bloodied, and we're hoping. I'm hoping Liverpool will go to Bournemouth and get their nose bloodied. But you have the best product, the best league in the world, the most exciting league in the world where anything can happen on any given weekend. You need to bring the best referees to officiate it and not make a mockery and not, uh, you know, put vinegar in the milk. You know what I mean? You're spoiling the milk, Tony. That's what they're doing. They're spoiling the milk. They're
I,
pissing in your ice cream, Tony.
I still wish no matter what it's triggered for, the ref would go to the monitor.
Yeah, and there you go. That's the inconsistency. Welcome, Stan. Good evening. Hope you're doing well. That's the inconsistency as well. Michael Oliver, even if he was invited to go to the monitor, he had made up his mind in a split second and was not going to be persuaded against doing that. In the Champions League, Tony, you just see first of all the referees from other countries, and we don't necessarily know them that well. I used to enjoy watching Pier Luigi Collina. These are the kind of iconic European referees, and they went to the best competitions. Arsene Wenger famously said, "This group of English referees, they never go to World Cups. They never really get picked for big European competitions or World Cup
I,
competitions."
I mean, even the Euros or the Euro Part Two, whatever you want to call the fucking other European league they have. But why do you have two European contests? Makes no sense.
All right, so Tony, we talked about this Champions League, right? And you said goal difference might be a problem. I said by the time we play 8 games in this Premier League, in this UEFA Champions League or Super League, whatever you want to call it, and it's not 10 games, okay? It's 8 games, but um,
It's still like Super League, right?
right, you worried about goal difference? I said, don't worry about it, Tony. We'll be fine. If we get 8, I think I set the mark at 18 points. If we get 18 points, we'll be in the top 8. Turns out 16 was probably enough for it because, we have had some teams in there. Manchester City have struggled. Leipzig have struggled. Real Madrid have struggled. There's some big teams that have struggled down there. Juventus is one of the teams that we could end up playing. AC Milan's another one of the teams we could end up playing. Yeah, Stan, I agree with you. The ref, I remember Uriah Rennie as well, and some of these referees, they adjudicated Arsenal. We were officiated in the same way as every other team. You know, even when we, even when we had some players, we would get red cards, but at the time when we got those red cards under Arsene Wenger's reign, Arsene Wenger was accused of having the worst disciplinary record, Tony. We would get red cards, but us as a fan base, we would not argue that they were red cards. They were red cards. When Arsenal got sent off, we were sent off most of the time in a way that you would say was fair and it was thought through fairly. This season in particular, we've had 4 or 5 incidents that you could say we've been officiated in a different to a higher degree than other teams. So yeah, I remember Uriah Rennie, and I want to go back to the times where we have referees who can officiate a game normally. Um, but Tony, we hit the mark. We finished what, third in the Champions League,
Yeah.
and the Holy Grail was those extra 2 games that we're going to have a buy from. And I think that's going to be very important now. There's going to be a gap of maybe 6, 7 weeks. I'm going to sneeze. I'll put it on mute. So yeah, I think it's very important that Arsenal have gone through this tough part of the season, through December, through Christmas, New Year's, and now we've actually finished this January, which was a very, very tough January. We'll talk about this January as well. Um, and we'll be able to rest some of our players. Some of our players who are injured might have an opportunity to come back before the next Champions League game. in the last 16.
There's a couple negatives there. One, you have two less games, so that means your squad player and your academy players are going to have less games played. Then you have the rust of not being in the competition. You have these teams that are in there playing to not get eliminated. Meanwhile, we're sitting there with our legs up, and I think it's usually for the best to keep on playing. I remember saying with both times Arsenal games got delayed that we needed to play the Spurs, that we needed to play City. Instead, we didn't. Ended up with more congested spring fixtures. But I think we have to be cautious. You can't get over cocky about it. And you have to make sure those friends players and academy players get as much time in the Premier League as possible. I mean, starting subs at 60 minutes, which Mr. Arteta does not like. Uncle Artie.
So yeah, who was the referee who sent off David Beckham? I remember him thinking he was a Dutch referee. I thought he was a Danish referee. But if anybody has that name, do it. Let us know.
I
He
thought
was
it
just
was
standing off against Simone. So that was a classic moment, right, with Simone in Argentina when David Beckham was playing for England and in the World Cup, and Simeone goaded him into losing his discipline. You know,
That's why you.
I disagree with some parts of what you said, Tony. I think it's important. We will still be able to keep our. We still will have games to play. We're not going to get rusty because we're going to be playing Premier League games and hopefully an EFL Cup second leg. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Many of us have given up hope of going up to Newcastle and winning, but I'll tell you what. I will say one thing: if we in that Carabao Cup second leg, and we've been atrocious in the first leg, we see the difference in quality, right?
Hey,
Isak. No,
hey,
the next goal is important, Tony. Obviously, if they score the first goal in the second leg, um, they're going to go
there,
through. But
there, there,
if we get a
there,
goal, Tony, it's game
there
on.
you go again, Ray.
Game on.
You said leg about 20
I know.
times tonight.
I'll just have to call it the return fixture. Stan said 5 days after the event, we're now getting done for crowding the referees. So petty. It's like starting a fight, getting beaten up and running away and shouting, "You prick."
But what's happened? They used to have like every year they would be two things they would pick on. One of them was crowding, but they would pick these things out that they would look at. So sometimes it was
Chasing the
offside.
referee.
Yeah,
Chasing the referee be one. Going to the linesman. Remember, they wouldn't like you go to the linesman and talk to him. There was
yeah,
another one where if you're getting the yellow card, instead of walking away and giving the yellow card to the player's back, they wanted the player to turn and walk politely toward them so they could receive their punishment face to face. You know, these are the kind of
yeah.
things that these people want to feel important. This group of individuals who are officiating the game want to be respected. Well, I'll tell you what, you earn respect. It shouldn't just be given to you. You need to earn respect. And I think the best referees, Uriah Rennie, back in the day, Stan, the best referees you could talk to. You could have a bit of banter with them and they wouldn't hold that against you. and they wouldn't think that they were, better than you. You're
but
the
there's
these right now. Michael Oliver's like you're Trossard, and I'm the referee. And actually, I saw the meme where Trossard was said to Gomez, he did the same thing to me, and Oliver was like, huh? And I don't know if you saw at the end of the game, Mikel Arteta and Oliver were shaking hands, but Michael Oliver had to say something. Did say something to Arteta, but
but
we'll never know.
I want to know. I think it started this time 2 years ago. They said they were to review VAR and review some of the officiating and rules and stuff like that. And what happened? They never went and did it. 2 years
Yeah.
later,
So listen,
because
well,
VAR hasn't changed at all.
no, and these referees they want to be unchecked. They want to do what they want to do. There's a group of them now. There's not a referee and two linesmen. There's three more people sitting in the booth, but they're all helping each other. They're all endorsing each other. Like if Michael Oliver makes a mistake, nobody is there to challenge that and say, um, "Hey, we might have got this wrong. You might have got this wrong, Michael. There's a
Yeah.
monitor over there. Go use it."
Then there's always like people like Oliver that they'll make a mistake, and the next week, oh, you're ahead of VAR that week. It's so silly and just they have
Tiger Gunner.
they. Well, what's it gonna take, Ray? Is it gonna take like the teams voting to change things? It doesn't seem like fans are doing anything
So
to change it.
Tiger said, "Curious to know what Oliver said to Arteta for him to turn his head." I actually, you want to let you tell me what you thought or Oliver said to Arteta when they're shaking hands at the end of the day, at the end of the game. My thoughts are that Oliver said, "Control your players." That's what I would think that he said to him. And Tiger Gunner's Oliver's getting spell checked to Olivia. Darren England is too scared of Olivia. Exactly.
I just think the whole system's so screwed up.
I do like the way BX Gunner has, woven the Arsenal fan circle into this comment, right?
But
You get an extra
wait,
point every time you use the word circle in your comments. You get an extra point. So BX Gunner, you get one, you get a credit for doing this. They have one big circle jerk going on in the FAA and the FAA PGMOL.
Circle Jerks was a perfectly fine American punk rock band.
All right. I reckon he said he deserved to be sent off.
But
Yeah. Or violent
where
play. You know what I mean? So violent, right? We see this happening. But you want to protect your brethren, the referees. You're going to back up Michael Oliver, aren't you, Tony? And say he did the right thing. It was a red card. That's what you're saying.
no, I'm just saying they need to follow the letter of the law. If they don't, they just don't. They just haphazardly choose what they want to enforce and when they want to. But I was gonna say before you cut me off 2 times ago, off a circle with wagons away. Here comes the wagons, right? Wagon.
Circle the wagons. Yeah. I'm looking to go maybe in April as well, Stan. Stan's like, I'm going to be in London in a few weeks and I've been offered tickets for the West Ham game. I decided to decline, keep my money in the pocket because I'm sick of this shit. And that's really, Stan is so irritated, and fans can be so irritated by the referees and their holier and their authoritarianism.
But
You won't go to the game. You know.
I want to know something, Ray.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost in February. Season started in August. You were supposed to have the 12 iPhone 14s being in charge of VAR. And guess what? It's not there yet.
Yeah, it was supposed to be in October. Are you talking about this partial or whatever you call it?
Yeah, yeah. It's like
Offside,
October 12th when they were
virtual,
supposed.
like a virtual offside or whatever it was called.
Yeah,
Yeah, what's up with that?
I have no idea.
I'll tell you something else is going to happen this weekend. Rugby, the Six Nations coming back. And if you have not seen a rugby game, you need to watch a rugby game just for the way that the referee and he uses his team. They work as a team and they are willing to call each other out and say, "Listen, that's not what I saw. I saw something else." And you can hear the crowd can hear the whole conversation when they come to a decision. So you watch it. I think it's going to be on Peacock. You watch it this weekend. The way the referees adjudicate and officiate uh, a rugby Six Nations championship game, and our football referees, the PGMOL, will not use this technology. Will not make it so that we can hear in real time. What we have is media and commentators dumbing down what they're saying for the viewers. I don't want to hear the commentator telling us that a VAR check has been cleared. I want to hear what VAR is saying in real time.
But and what gets me is, I guess the VAR people sit right behind the announcers because they're always hearing what VAR is doing.
Well, they have
But
access. They
but
can
but
hear it.
they yeah, because they're right behind them.
Well, I don't know where they're located, but they can hear
Yeah.
it. And they're the ones who are telling VAR has been checked. I don't want to hear you telling me VAR has been checked. I want to hear it myself.
But
I'd be very interested to hear the referee, what he's hearing, and also the players and what they're saying to the referee at the time. You'll see that this weekend in the Six Nations rugby, the
I,
Six
I,
Nations Championship.
I'm more likely to catch the Australian rules football. That's because
Yeah, I do like to watch Aussie rules once in a while as well. It's a good game, good fast game. Um,
it's weird when it's like 120 to 125. It's like Jesus.
yeah, yeah. With Gaelic, I'm from Ireland, as you know, and Gaelic football. They did like an Aussie rules series where they melded both games together. Very very interesting series of international games where Ireland played
But
Australia.
but they used to have the Gaelic football that was pretty much the exact same thing as
Well,
Australian
Tony,
rules, right?
they still have it. They still have it.
But is it as much as is it pretty much the same that it used to be, like Australian rules football, or is it
Well,
different?
Aussie rules football is professional, and I think Gaelic football is semi professional as well. You know. So what are our chances? There you go. AFL referees. AFL has 3 referees called umpires, right? Yeah. Yeah, but we could have in the Premier League. You could have a referee. You could have 2 assistant referees or linesmen, whatever you call it, and you could have 4 people in the VAR room or however many there are. They still get it all wrong, Tony. they still get it
Well,
wrong.
one thing I was thinking of Monday, because I remember I think they did it in Cannibal, that when they were testing two referees on the pitch.
That's why I
I'm
call
not.
myself Tiger, as in Richmond Tiger. So that must be a team, Tony. We'll start. We're gonna follow Richmond Tigers in Aussie rules.
But what happened to that, right? Because they were looking into having two officials. Because its first big implementation was to be a World Cup. I believe a Russian World Cup.
Where were they gonna have it, behind the goals?
No, there to be two officials on the pitch.
Yeah, you, you need it in Aussie rules. So it's in Aussie rules because the game they have like 50 players on the field. You know, I can't remember how many. Is there 50 players? And it's a big circle, a big oval pitch.
It's a cricket ground, Ray. Just say what it is.
I don't know what Tiger Goody will think about that. Yeah. You're playing Aussie rules on a cricket ground.
It's what
Um,
it is. Is it round like that in Gaelic, or is it just a normal
yeah, I'll definitely
pitch?
check out. We'll check out Richmond Tigers. We'll try out. Try to. We'll make a passing note of it as the season goes on. And are you in the season right now, Tiger? Is it in season right now? Games on. Listen, as Stan said here, um, name another sport where we know the names of the officials. We don't because they don't demand the spotlight.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's something I said all the time. I'm like, I can basically name all the Premier League refs, but NFL there's maximum 2 to 3. I know NBA's 2. I don't know any of them Major League Baseball ones anymore. But
Um, and look, there's some Irish players, some Irish Gaelic football players have gone to Australia to play Aussie rules as well. So they do make a decent living down there when they do that. But Stan, you're right. I referenced Pierre Luigi Colina not because of he messed up he didn't fuck up all the time. He just had those eyes that you wouldn't fuck with. You know what I mean? As a player,
you're
he
like this
he could kill
this
you.
this
He
guy
could kill you with his eyes. You know?
this, this guy knows what the fuck's going on, and he might kill me.
Yeah, yeah. Pierre Luigi Colina, and these were referees who we knew their names because they were good at what they did as well. I get what you're saying as well, Stan. Nice one, Ray. Follow Richmond Tigers. Yeah, we'll check it out.
Since,
It's big,
since, since,
yellow
since
and
we've
black.
had since we've
Yellow and black.
had the since we've had the whole talk, I'll bring out the rugby ball.
So yeah, you got football as well. Nice one. March is the start of the season until September. Okay, cool. We have a few Irish players in the AFL. So Tony, we want to get into this Champions League discussion for a little bit. We're going to talk about what our month was like and the window as well, the transfer window. Um, so
Hopefully, I'm done hacking up mucus now.
you're hawking something up, are you? I think
I've had the, I've had this long infection for 3 weeks now.
Tony gives you everything, warts and all. It's Tony uncensored.
That would be a totally different show, yeah.
Don't we love the Champions League though? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've always liked it because for Arsenal, you would have these fucking just mad lineups, worst players ever, and you would qualify with those players.
Well, you didn't have a Man City or a resurgent Liverpool at the time. Liverpool were in the doldrums. Man City, where were they? In the second division or something like that? You know what I mean? Until they were bought by, a country, basically. Um,
No, not technically a country. It's owned by one of the princes. That,
but
that,
yeah,
that, that's part of my argument that cities are worth about 24 billion, their owners, and our owners are worth about the same.
yeah. Stan's, Stan. So Stan's not to say he's given up on the league, but he thinks the Champions League. We're gonna have this discussion again. We seem to have this every year. Oh, nice one. I love the game of snooker as well. I've been
It,
following Sean Murphy, I think, as well. Um,
it's weird now, Ray, because like at Walgreens, they have like this little bit of Easter candy and stuff, and all the rest is Valentine's.
Valentine's coming up soon. Stan's put all of his Easter eggs in the Champions League basket this season. That's our real chance to lift silverware. Yeah.
Do you remember what I said during our season predictions, Ray?
No, but you remember it clearly.
Yes, I said we would finish third in the Premier League, and we had a good chance of winning the Champions League.
Champions League. I think I think where Arsenal are now and how we've grown over the years, that we've become one of the top teams in Europe, maybe as Real Madrid have not quite. I think Mbappe is starting to get it now, but they seem vulnerable. I hate to say it about Madrid, right? But they seem vulnerable, even though he would always say it's Real Madrid. We know Manchester City, we know Liverpool. We can hang with those two easily. We got no problems about playing.
Madrid and Barcelona can be shit in the competitions until it reaches the knockout stages, and they put on the gas. It's like me and you if we were driving a rally car around.
Yeah. Well, we've had this discussion, and hopefully we'll talk a little bit more about Champions League as the season drives on. There's going to be plenty of games we would play last 16, so we could play Juventus or Milan in the last 16. We could play Madrid in the quarterfinals, Real Madrid.
Uh,
And when
uh,
we'll probably play Real Madrid when it comes to it, Tony. And at that point, you're going to say, well, if you have to win this competition, or if you want to win this competition, you have to beat the best. And the best will be Real Madrid. And we'll have a go at it. And Stan said that's our real chance to lift silverware. But we had this discussion before as well. To win the Champions League, you need maybe a little bit of luck to go your way as well, Tony.
it's luck.
Like that Tottenham team that got to a final.
It's luck. It's injuries. It's who you get drawn against. But that's a little different now
It's like
because of
it's
fucking
when who you get drawn
cause,
against, and it's what kind of form they're in when you meet
yeah,
them. You know,
but it's so crazy because they used the fucking. I think they played out like 1,250 situations of ball drawing before they pick the first team.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any more draws. I think it's all set now into a system of you're going to play whoever wins. You're going to play that guy that you're in the same bracket with. You know what I mean? So the whole thing
You
is separated out. I have to look at it a bit more closely,
you
but
you would need Pythagoras around with you to figure out the
yeah,
fucking draw.
you know what, Tony? We've earned the right now. We've beaten Girona. We've beaten Zagreb handily. We've beaten the likes of PSG and Monaco. We've drawn with
Eh,
Atalanta away from home. We've earned the right
eh,
now. Just sit back and see what happens for these two games because we're not going to be playing.
Is this format Swiss or Swede?
I don't know.
It's one of those two.
I don't know what you're talking about, Swiss or Swede. Tiger and Gunnar said, I so want to win the Champions League and get the monkey off our back. Stands in the chat here as well, along with others. You know, it's a conversation that we get shut down on when it comes to the Champions League. Have you won one? Sorry. No. We were 10 minutes away from it in 2006. That was a sickener. I was sickener now. We'd want to get that off our back as well.
Eh,
And
eh, eh,
that's going to
eh.
lead into our discussion in about 5 or 10 minutes from now when we talk about this transfer window, Tony. Go ahead, Champions League.
But weren't we there in 2012 where there's no fucking way in hell that an official could hear?
At the new camp.
Yeah, I mean
And Percy.
there's no way Van Persie heard that.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause all
Yeah, I
you
thought
could
you were
hear
going to
was a
mention.
rumble.
I think we got to a semi-final with Liverpool when 10, 12 years ago as well, when we were the first. That's right, Tiger. We were the first London club in the Champions League finals, and then Chelsea came and got two of them. So it can be done. We need the club. We need the owners. We need the owners to invest in the club. I don't know why. Before we're going to talk about Ollie Watkins, I don't know why 2 or 3 years ago we couldn't have put some of our money. It's like you get money you get your pocket money, and you put it in the bank, and you don't go spend it. We wanted to go spend. We should have spent some of that pocket money on a striker.
And we were always rumored to have that 200 million pound kitty.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's talk about January 1st, right? We've just finished it with 3 wins here. We've beaten Girona and we've beaten Zagreb. So 2 wins in Champions League seals top 3 place. We get to buy into the round of 16. We beat Wolverhampton Wanderers. I don't know how we did it, but we did win that game, and Calafiori scored the goal. There was fallout from it. Rival fans, Liverpool fans, will have been annoyed because we were a man down and we score a goal and we win the game. Before that, Tony, we started the month off with a disappointing draw against Brighton away from home and a win at Brentford. I think it was on New Year's Day. Seems like a long time ago now, right? New Year's Day. But we did get 4 points in the league. The issue we have is that the cups didn't go well. The Carabao Cup and the FA Cup did not go well.
How can 3 years in a row you get knocked out of January in both of us?
I don't know. Because, do you know why, Tony? Because talking about Liverpool there, Tiger said Liverpool were lucky against Brentford. But they have strikers. They were able to put Nunez on. Liverpool did win a Premier League in the last 10 years. Not just because of Mo Salah. Liverpool won a Premier League because they had Mane. They had 2 players, Mane and Salah, who were wingers, who were getting 20 goals each. And that's how you. That's the only way you can win a Premier League. That's the only way you can be sure of winning trophies is if
And,
you have not one player who can get you close to 20 goals. You need two players who can score you 20 goals, and you need a
well,
striker. You need a striker to win things, Tony.
that's what I always said. I said I'll take an example with Rice. He's $109 million, but you need like a 80 or $130 million player to make him sit down. You need to have this real excellent quality of backups, which we lack, part because Arteta didn't want to develop the academy, which I don't know why on that one.
Mm-hmm.
We've got another academy player on the way out this year.
Who, Heaven?
Yep, doesn't get to play.
Yeah. I think if Arsenal really wanted to keep, if this was a player, if Heaven was a player we needed or wanted in the future, I think we would have made. And I don't know what happened, right? I think we would make efforts to keep that player. um,
But what about the kid last year, right? I mean,
who,
he's
Hutchison?
no, that wasn't his name, was it? The one
Oh,
that scored 10
Dubry.
goals against one that scored 10 goals against Liverpool.
Obi. Cheeto. Obi-Wan.
Two things Ray likes: Cheetos and Star Wars.
Star Wars and Cheetos. I've never actually
But
combined the two. I've never actually watched Star Wars and eaten Cheetos, but I should try that sometime.
I have had Star Wars advertising on my Cheeto bag.
Well, there you go. It is a combination, I think, that works. You know what I mean? But yeah, Cheeto
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Martin. Went to Man United. Listen, these are players. It's going to happen in the league. Players want to move, and they're motivated by maybe the money, and it might not be the best football move for them, but financially, it's going to be something that's good for them. You know, a little bit
But
like John Duran. You know what I mean?
but it's mixed because you have this player that's a pure striker, but you never try him out. That's the part that gets to me. It's not that they leave; it's that you did nothing to try to keep them there. You didn't play him in the academy because that's basic. Let's say it. The last 4 years, academy players haven't played besides the ones that were already there, being Saka.
Yeah, yeah. Liverpool were lucky against Brentford. Salah was pissed off with Mane in one of the games
Uh,
because he
uh,
didn't pass the
uh,
ball to him in the game. I get it. These were two wingers, Salah and Mane, who acted like strikers because they would come from the outside in, and they very much end up in striking positions. And there was
and
there was a low key rivalry between them, Mane and Salah, for the African Player of the Year. You know what I mean?
and one of those players completely destroyed Bayern Munich because getting 400,000 a year plus bonuses
Right.
plus preferential treatment.
That was Mane.
Yeah, and they've always had this strict. We're not really to pay too much over 200,000 euros in
Yeah,
salary,
yeah.
and it's worked for him. I mean, because I mean, it's Bayern, so you know you're gonna be competing, most likely winning the trophy.
Bundesliga. Well, not if you're Harry Kane, right? Uh, and I think
But
they're
but
leading. They're leading the Bundesliga, aren't they? Harry Kane is. Ray, you going to the UK in April? If so, I'm going there as well. Yeah, I'm planning, I think, April as well. Go to Ireland to visit family and then get over to London, hopefully for a game as well. You know what I mean?
I need to
Um,
get a fucking passport.
you're going to get a passport.
I need one.
They let you leave the country. They'd be like, they'd let you leave the country without a passport. You wouldn't be able to get back in, Tony. It'd be wherever, whatever country you chose to go to, you can they'd keep you.
Comrade Tonsky.
Okay, I just hear that. I hear that music now from one of the Rocky movies. You know.
Were they any other like training segments in movies before that, or was Rocky the birth of that?
I think Rocky was the first where like the whole movie was about stuff, and then you'd have 10 minutes of okay, I gotta go train now, and then you get this like musical montage of all this action, training action,
You,
and
you
then
get my
you
you get my
hear
Russian you get my Russian using all this high tech shit, and Rocky just dragging like bags of potatoes or whatever.
and then you would you'd hear ding 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 ding, and then they're in the ring, right? It's about to
Yeah,
start. You can't beat the Rocky movies, you know what I mean? So
I
it was great.
I I I still liked it when Apollo went ding ding.
um, Tiger and Gunner, we have to find a way. Well,
Ah,
we'll find a
I
way to
think
communicate. We can communicate through this podcast each and every week, but yeah, definitely we'll have to find a way to make that happen. Right, I'm meeting up with an Irish mate in the UK for the Arsenal games, who I met him in Baku. Yeah, and Rocky, Rocky trying to catch chicken. Uh, Rocky. So I remember they had to tie his right arm, didn't they? They tied his right arm to his body, and he had to fight with his left arm, right? Tony,
yeah.
pick an Arsenal player that you would have to tie one of their legs down so they'd be forced to use the other leg. Who would you pick?
I don't know.
Martinelli. Try Martinelli.
Martinelli would be pogoing around like I would.
He'd be doing the Anthony. He'd be like, yeah, Martinelli. Isn't Martinelli's right-footed, isn't he?
Yeah. What gets me, Ray, is like now people say you have to have certain people with certain feet, but we went over 10 years without having a left-footed defender.
The left-footed
The-
defender. We went over 10 years. Well, now
the-
now it's strictly
the-
prohibited to play a left-footed defender on the right side. You know.
the-
Oh, Mikel Arteta. I'll tell you what. There was one. What game was it that he refused to play? Was it the Man United game? He refused to play a left-footed player on the right. So what he did,
yeah.
right? He moved Timber. He moved Timber in, right?
Yep.
And he played Partey at right back. Yeah, these are the things. And then Mikel, I love when the reporter asks Mikel, he's like, "I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what?" And then he goes, "I don't understand. I don't understand the question." He's acting. Sometimes Mikel Arteta acts like Manuel from Faulty Towers. I don't know if you ever seen that, Tony, but I don't.
I have not
Sometimes,
seen it.
oh my god. Uh, right, I'll be there for the 15. Listen, that probably fits in. I usually fit a holiday around Good Friday, so I think that fits in from what I was looking at in around April. So, going to try and see a snooker match over there if I can as well as Arsenal. Yeah. Yeah, definitely love the snooker as well. I was a Stephen Hendry fan for many, 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 many years. Um, the first time he went into the Crucible and beat Willie Thorne, I was a Stephen Hendry fan all the way, and he won 6 or 7 championships as well. He was a cool customer. Ronnie O'Sullivan, natural. I probably talk a little bit. I've talked about yeah, we talked about snooker before. We called you Tony Drago.
Uh,
Tony Turner, we called him Tony
that,
Drago. The
that, that,
Maltese
that,
the Maltese Falcon or something. I think that's what they called Tony Drago, you know.
that definitely sounds like a pool hustler.
So, I tell you what, and then when you start talking about these things, you start realizing I'm fucking old.
So, so,
I'm an
so,
old
so,
kid.
so, so how do you manage when you go back home and you play snooker?
How do I? First of all, it's been a long time since I played snooker. Um, but
Have you
you know, I
retired
would
from snooker?
actually enjoy. I would actually enjoy a game of snooker. You know, I was not horrible when I was playing. I think I could get like a break of 30 together when I'm playing. When I'm playing regularly, I might be able to get a red and a color now at a time. At a time. Drago plays 9 ball now, so I'm not familiar with that. But I think there was something I saw about Legends where the older players, Ken Doherty, the Irish champion, Ken Doherty, um, is commentating. I used to watch snooker back in the Ray Reardon era. God bless Ray Reardon, rest in peace. Didn't he just die recently as well? Yeah, Stan was talking about all of the old, all Bill Werben, Bill Werbenek, Cliff Torburn, all these players that now they wouldn't survive in in the modern game now. I don't think. You know what I mean?
I couldn't beat Tony Drago.
Come on, Tiger and Gooner, your tracking has to be good now. Yeah, you know what your tracking is, Tony? That's a technical term. Your tracking is when you pot a red ball and you have to track onto a color. So when you're playing snooker, do you ever see snooker, Tony?
Yeah, I've seen it.
You're a pool guy, are
Not so much.
you? Yeah,
I'm more of
those were the days, Stan. Jimmy White and Alex Higgins. Alex Higgins, you know, he was an enigma. He had all the talent in the world, Tony, but he just he just couldn't get himself together. He seemed like he was a bit of a wreck when he was playing. He was a genius, though, Alex Higgins. Uh, these Jimmy White and Alex Higgins, they had that swagger, you know, that people loved. And now you only get it maybe from Ronnie O'Sullivan. 18 points, Werbenek, definitely. Oh, there was some characters, some characters indeed. Alex Higgins and George Best of snooker, yeah, yeah. Both from Northern Ireland, and both great players in their day as well. Of course, George Best. You know what I mean? I don't think George Best gets the recognition because, of course, you have a Pele and you have a Maradona. You know, and Argentina and Brazil were always going to be in World Cups. Tony, you know, George Best and his national team, they weren't going to make it to World Cups all the time. You know, a little bit like Roy Keane in Ireland back in the day. Had a great chance. I'm, you know, you wonder what Roy Keane, what Ireland would have done in that tournament when Roy Keane kicked off and got himself sent home. Yeah, rightly so. He was protesting against the standards. The FAI did not have the standards that Manchester United had, you know, and it's probably the onset of the club game becoming bigger than the international game, you know. So
Shit,
now nobody watches international football, Tony. But back then, you would watch back in the 90s. You would watch international football. It was interesting. You had higher level teams playing against each other. I think a lot of the states broke up. A lot of federations broke up, and states got their own federations. And now it
yeah,
became like now we instead of having like 40 European teams, let's say for instance, now you have 65, and so you have a lot of more smaller teams. So England can play the Faroe. England can play Gibraltar and win 7-0. You're not getting
and
anything. England are not getting anything out of it. They're not getting any competition. So
you
when
have a
England, sorry, when England go into European Championships or the World Cup, they're not battle hardened. Anyway,
I think what fucks it up is that you have two European competitions. One supposedly partially pursuing places in the World Cup, but I mean, the World Cup's about to be ruined with more teams. It's not gonna be as good as a product.
uh,
But what I was gonna say is the three games I was very good at: darts,
oh,
shuffleboard, dome hockey, and do you know what I'm really good at? Dangerously good at, Ray?
tiddlywinks.
No, no, the bars you can go to that you throw like hatchets and like saw blades and stuff.
Oh, Tony,
The, there was this one time
don't give
saw
Tony a
blade,
hatchet.
saw blade straight in the middle, ninja star on the side, touching the saw blade.
Yeah,
Other ninja star touching
oh my God.
I had all three all
So,
three
so
ninja
you can throw
stars
an axe, a hatchet, and a ninja star. Is that what you're saying?
and the saw blade.
Wow,
The saw
wow.
blade's what I threw in the middle.
Be careful. Um,
Then I deemed it. They have these
um,
metal cages.
Dan said. Then you had boring Steve Davis who won it all, and Dennis Taylor who was like Alex Ferguson with big glasses. I think Dennis Taylor would be very happy if he was compared to Alex Ferguson. They were huge glasses though. They were like they were like the glasses that were up here. They had the big square things. They were up here like this. You know what I mean? Tony, you good at chess?
I'm not bad at chess.
Yeah, I'm pretty decent at chess as well. You know. I wonder if there's an
Okay.
app out there where you can play friends at chess. Italian 90 was
Okay.
special. My mother-in-law was looking at a ladies' football game in Sampdoria, and she's like, "Where's Sampdoria?" And I was like, "I remember Sampdoria as an Irish person in Italian 90. We beat Romania from a David O'Leary penalty. We won. We went through." We went through to quarterfinal, I think, against Italy. That's it. It was the last 16. We beat Romania on penalties in Sampdoria. So Italian 90 was special. Even in Ireland, we had a blast following that team. We
Yeah.
had a bunch. We had a bunch of really great Irish players, and Jack Charlton molded them together. They're a very tough unit. We were beaten by Scalacci 1-0, and I think
It,
Scalacci just passed away recently as well. You know what I mean?
it, it is the international game kind of screwed up, partially because you have these players first they join whatever country. That's how I follow Gnabry because one of his parents was American.
Yeah.
the other one German. So he played a few games for the U.S. before he got up to the senior German team.
Yeah.
But it seems like so many of these players end up switching teams now,
Wow.
and I think the whole thing's screwed up because you can't turn on your TV and flip the channel. Oh, the Bundesliga's on, League One's on.
Yeah. There's a lot of
You
football
you don't get it.
saturation.
You can get it if you pay to have Peacock,
Yeah.
Paramount,
Yeah.
everything else,
There was
ESPN.
a lot of saturation. And to this, right now, there's a lot of football as well. You know what I mean? Like you said, you can turn the television on, you can turn your streaming on, and something's live every day of the week, probably. Um, Dennis Taylor's glasses were like Deirdre Barlow off Coronation Street. I remember that. Deirdre Barlow. Ray Houghton was a good player. We had John Aldridge. He couldn't score. He couldn't score for Ireland. Very prolific for Liverpool, but couldn't score for Ireland because we used him in a different way. We had Tony Cascarino. We had Niall Quinn. We had David O'Leary. We had Steve Staunton. We had Dennis Irwin and Roy Keane. You know, Lee Brady. Don't Stan remembers Lee Brady. Um, when I started
I do. After you've mentioned it, he
when I
just jump
started
out.
following football, uh,
125 times I've heard you say his name.
did you ever watch YouTube stuff on Lee Brady, Tony?
No, no, because it's like I didn't watch that period of soccer, so
It's
I'm
okay.
not.
You
I'm just not.
YouTube is there for you, Tony. YouTube is there for you to to look at these things, investigate these things. Anyway, uh, here we are, Champions League. Let's get back to where we were, right?
Or I can listen to people like you, Ryan, or
Yeah.
Andrew.
Well, we're telling you about Lean Brady. Just go watch him. Watch a
Well,
game.
why can't I just listen about him?
You can, but isn't us telling you about him making you want to go look and see, what kind of player he was? Maybe
To,
have another player
to,
speak
to,
more about him. You know what I mean? Like,
to be perfectly honest to you, Ray, if I'm not doing or part of a show,
mhm,
I don't watch anything on YouTube anymore.
that's good. Brady went to Italy. He did. And a lot of I was not an Arsenal fan at the time, but a lot of Brady's supporters, a lot of Arsenal fans were very disheartened by.
What was that when you're a good Irish lad and supported Liverpool?
I was very misguided in the early years.
Misguided.
I found I found the right team in the end, and it was a George Graham team with a lot of young players coming through, and they were playing with um, without fear, Tony. When I started watching Arsenal, when I started following Arsenal, it was around January. It was actually probably around this time of the year, probably 86 or 87. I'm not sure. But
So that,
you had the likes of David Rocastle, Michael Thomas, Lee Dixon, all coming
but,
through.
but,
Tony Adams.
but that's the thing. It was like Graham, Winger, and somebody that coaches at Aston Villa now. They had no problem bringing in the young players and
Mm.
putting them or put them in finals or stuff or
Yeah.
oh we're not gonna worry about benching him this week because
That's right.
we're playing at Anfield or something like that. It's
Yeah.
like that
Um,
stupid shit didn't happen. You played the
we
player.
Stan, there was a lot of Irish players back then. I feel like the the talent levels of the Irish players throughout the years waned We started with Liam Brady, who was special, all the way down to Eddie McGoldrick.
Where are you placed? Probably like 55th in the world.
Who?
Ireland in the
Yeah,
FIFA World
probably
Ranking.
probably lower than that, Tony. Right now, yeah, there was the likes of Frank Stapleton was at Arsenal, Pat Jennings, Rice, Pat Rice was another one. Of course, David O'Leary, Liam Brady, Niall Quinn came along as well. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on back then. Um, Tiger and Gunner, my cousin tried to get me to follow Man United, get me a United poster. LOL, it did not work exactly. I have a few nephews now. They're definitely Liverpool or Man City more recently. But I think there's one left maybe that I can get. He's only about 2.5 years old right now, so I'll have to start early. Get him get him in the Arsenal shirt. You know what I mean? Start working on him. You're gonna and maybe Arsenal will start winning things. That's how you that's how you get new young supporters because they have to go to school and they have to you know rep their team. It's not easy.
That's what.
Not
That's
easy
what
going
I'm.
to school when you're losing, Tony. You can't win anything, you know?
That's what gets me. How do you still have like these 18 and 20-year olds that support Arsenal? It's like
Well,
there's no reasoning into.
well, we still would have played we still would have played good football. Like you said in 2010 or 2012, we had teams who were going to into the Champions League. The likes of give me a player's name who wasn't great, right? What was that Moroccan player?
From
Shamak.
BleacherReport.com, Eric
So
Lindau rated a talented player, but how great he
Alexa,
was his up and
dismiss.
dismiss, throw out.
I don't know how the hell to do that. Yes, definitely will work. I will work on it, Tiger and Gunner. It won't be easy.
I don't know how that
At,
happens.
at 2.5, you're not sure if they even like football. You know what I mean? Gonna have to work on it. It'll be part of my April mission. Part of my April mission. Bring a
Uh,
shirt and a football.
I got to play you a song after the show's over, right?
All right, so let's listen. I think a lot of people are here. Maybe they're surprised we haven't mentioned the transfer window yet, but we should probably mention that. We got maybe about another 30 minutes here with everybody.
I, I'm really surprised he's number 9 in FIFA.
Who's number 9?
Iran.
Iran's number 9. Well, you have all these federations. It's not like a strong federation. Maybe the European one would be the strongest. You know, South America would be strong.
Yeah, but
There you go.
if you pick it, it still gives it as a European team.
Saka shirt definitely will have to do that. Tiger. Most of my classmates were United supporters. Well, I was back in the day a little bit when they were successful. I don't think there's not very many young Man United supporters now out there, are there? No. All right, Tony. Ollie Watkins. What's the chances of Ollie Watkins coming to Arsenal? Well, let me give you a case first, right? It's Arsenal. He's an Arsenal supporter. Um, this is probably his one and only chance to move to Arsenal. Um, he's 29. He's actually 28 years old. He'll be 29 in December, so there's still plenty of years for Ollie Watkins. Uh, PSR is a real danger to Aston Villa right now. But John Duran has gone to Saudi Arabia. So where do you see this thing? Arsenal put a bid in on Monday of I think 40 million, and this is what kind of annoys me a little bit about Arsenal. Are you serious or are you not? Does 40 million tell you that Arsenal are serious about Ollie Watkins, Tony?
It's crazy because you had, what was Hazy's 24, 25, and had 6 months left in his contract. We could have signed him for free, but paid like 52, 53 million pounds.
Who is this?
Um, Jesus.
Gabriel Jesus. Okay, now Arsenal are going into the market because Gabriel Jesus got injured. He won't be back till probably December. Do you know what I mean? So
And
the need for Arteta to go and get a striker is strong. Bukayo Saka is going to be out till mid-March, and we don't know how he's going to come back. Some people are actually saying he may not even um, come back this season. You know,
I want to play him.
huh?
I said I want to play him.
You wouldn't play him. All right. So how do you square this Ollie Watkins thing away? Because Arsenal don't generally um, bid. Arsenal don't generally bid something unless they have an assurance that maybe they're going to get their guy. Now, but unless Aston Villa are going to go into the market again and get more players, and they sell both their strikers for 130 million, that just sounds unthinkable. That Aston Villa would sell both of their strikers for 130 million, leave themselves with no repetition, continuity, no continuity from what, because Ollie Watkins and Duran have been splitting minutes in most games. It's been Watkins 70 minutes, Duran getting 20, 25 minutes. And so they've both been playing, they've both been maintaining their value. And 21-year-old Duran is going to move from the Major League Soccer via Aston Villa for a year or two, and now he's going to land in Aston Villa in Saudi Arabia for as a 21-year-old getting paid very, very well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiger and Gunner. The word that's coming out from Aston Villa is that they would entertain it at 60 million. Arsenal came in for a 28-year-old, Premier League proven 28-year-old striker. They started at around 40 million. And this is where you question Arsenal's intensity in this, or their willpower in this one, because Aston Villa would probably talk around 60, but probably 70 million. They would probably still talk to probably will do a deal. They haven't. The thing about this, Tony, is that Aston Villa have not categorically said he is not for sale.
You gotta tell me I was on my side.
Mm-hmm. You were laying on your side. So listen, it was reported around 60 million, but I don't know. I'm getting Stephen as well saying 60 million. I heard somewhere about 40 million. I could be wrong about that one as well, but 60 million. The thoughts would be maybe 70 million is going to get something done. If money's going to talk, Aston Villa will be looking at this. And it's purely a business decision, Tony. They're a 28-year-old striker for 60 or 70 million. They may never see that kind of money again for Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, I mean, Henry has no problem passing away an older player for a younger player. So I could see him being open to selling and getting the money, being able to build the squad even more, having the depth they need to be able to do both a long Champions League run and a long run in the league.
Wow. I think we've seen this through their qualifying stage, right? They've actually lost some Premier League games because they've been in the European competition.
Yeah, that's why I said they need it so they can do both.
Hmm. Steven said Watkins 0% chance. Villa will not throw away their Premier League season and Champions League season to make us happy. They're 4 points out of qualifying for Champions League for next season. They need him. It's a very, very difficult lineup as well, Stephen, for that race for top four. You got Newcastle in there. You got Man City um, in there as well. You got Chelsea and you got Bournemouth alongside um, Aston Villa. And if I was to pick right now, I would say Aston Villa are on the outside looking in because I think Bournemouth's a better team, Newcastle's a better team, and maybe City. Chelsea debatable where they're going to go, but yeah, listen, you sell John Duran for 70 some million. I think that Aston Villa are still in some financial pain, but they could not, as a fan base, could not entertain losing both players this window.
Right. You know they were in financial problems because basically those teams were, oh, okay, I'll sell you this player for 70 million, even though he's worth 35 million.
Yeah, they did that with some academy players, right? With Chelsea, right?
Yeah.
They sold to each other. So Stan said, if we wanted Watkins, why not start bidding weeks ago? It's like what West Ham used to do, putting in the bid for players they won't get and saying, well, we tried a big ruse. It does stink a lot of that, Stan, and I'd like my club to be um a little bit more forceful in this window, you know.
But
You
but
go
there's
in,
a
you put a realistic bid in, and the club think about selling 40 million. No doubt that if it was 40 million, I think it was 40 million from what I'm hearing. Although there's some discrepancy between 40 and 60. Um, Either way, Aston Villa have said have turned it down right away. You know what I mean? But here we are. Is it the club? Is it the club doing a PR stunt here, Tony? Management knows we won't get him. It's just a BS PR stunt to keep us quiet.
yeah, it's so hard to say because we're so used to them doing that because they would just pick these
How the
players out. They would pick these players and they want to have any inkling of actually signing that player. It's like, oh, we made $100 million offer for blah blah blah.
Yeah. How's things going? We're having a good chat here tonight. Emery said he wants to keep Watkins. No way he'll sell to us after how he was treated. Even if the player wants to agitate for a move, it's going to be tricky. It's BS how every year Arsenal bid on someone every late, only to get outbid by someone else.
We usually don't even get outbidded. They just think it's a ridiculous offer.
Yeah.
Or too late of an
Watkins,
offer. The biggest thing is it's usually too late of an offer for a team to find a player to semi replace the player they're using.
Presto plays here. Good to see you again, Presto play in the house. Watkins is out of reach if Arteta loves Sesko so much. Then go and get him. Put 60, 70 bid. See what Leipzig says. It feels like the owners are pulling the wool over our eyes. The Ollie Watkins thing could be a distraction to distract everybody toward Aston Villa when really it could be Leipzig that is the real uh, destination of the player we're looking for. Um, what's the guy's name again? I have it written in my notes here. Xavi Simons. So Xavi Simons has just moved from uh, PSG, I think it is, to Leipzig for 50 million. That tells me, they've just brought a player in, and it tells me maybe they're going to allow a player to move out, and that could be Benjamin Sesko. So, Arsenal have tomorrow's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So there's 4 days left, Tony, in this window, and
But don't you want
anything can happen in 4 days.
don't you want a Premier League proven player because
Mm-hmm.
you have 4 months left of the season. Do you
Yeah.
really take somebody from Germany or Italy, France? It doesn't matter where you get them. Maybe a player from Spain might be able to do it, but
Yeah, and then there's that
that
Nico Williams release clause as well, hanging out there. You know what I mean? Go pay the release clause if you want to do that. But I'll tell you one thing: the Arsenal fans, will be very, very disappointed, bitterly disappointed if we don't sign somebody. Mikel Arteta is on record as saying we need to sign a striker. Arsenal will sign a striker in these 4 days. We're gonna get somebody in. It just worries me as to what player that is and how it's gonna look for our overall strategy moving forward. Because you bring a player in, you got him for 2 or 3 years at least. You know what I mean? And he's gonna be part of the furniture.
Yeah.
If they sell Watkins, will they crash out of the Champions League? Won't even qualify for Europa League. They will drop like a rock in the Premier League. There's talk that maybe they're going to go and get some players in that would then allow Watkins to leave. You have to think that Watkins' head has been turned now. He's an Arsenal fan. He may agitate for a move, and we'll see what happens. Because if you're Ollie Watkins, Arsenal will not wait for you. Arsenal will not wait for you. You want to play for if you want to play for Arsenal, you have to come to us as well as us coming to you.
We're 5 years into this, right? And we don't have any more of this. Oh, it's a project. You have to buy guys and get guys that are going to help you win the league or the Champions League.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If not, it's not a worthwhile thing.
And I'll tell you what as well, Tony. Having a player like Ollie Watkins would guarantee you a brace in some games. Stan would love to hear this. He'd get a brace in some games. So instead of winning the game 2-1 and having a referee decide something for us, we're winning 3-1 or 4-1, and it's beyond the sight of a referee to manipulate the result.
We've had all this talk about a striker, but we still need a winger.
Yeah. PR stunt to keep us amused. We are not amused, Tiger and Gunner.
Because I don't think
a good player.
Sterling's not good enough to be a starter or backup.
No. Tottenham bidding 50 million for Matthias Tell. Why aren't we in there? I don't know if I'd rate him, Stan. Matthias Tell.
Why so often are both us and them looking at the same players? It happens. It happens 5-6 times a year.
This is the thing. Stan is right. Other players are moving in this window. Arsenal, do not tell us there was not any players available. If that is the
Yeah.
case, do not tell us there was not players
Like
available, because
like
they
like
are
Bruno, like
they're
Bruno. I still
they're
can't believe
available.
they said it.
You know, um, Ollie Watkins is a
That
player. Ollie Watkins is a player who has hurt us over the years. Leandro Trossard was a player who hurt us over the years. Well,
but
we bought him. We brought him in.
how,
We
how,
brought Trossard
how,
in
how, mu- how
a
much of a
couple of seasons
good
ago, January, 2 years ago in January, brought Trossard in. We could do the
how
same
good a
thing with Watkins.
how good of a duo would that be with Trossard's vision?
Oh yeah, Trossard's vision, and imagine Ollie Watkins. All due respect to Aston Villa, right? But he's playing in a team who are going to manufacture him some chances. He comes to Arsenal. He could be the focal point of everything that we've got creatively speaking. Odegaard, Bukayo Saka when he comes back from injury, Martinelli, Trossard. You know, um, he would get more high quality chances. And
One
if
thing, Gray, going back to the Wolves game,
yeah,
Kai said I had 3 goals that first
yeah,
half.
yeah,
Two of them by a plate from Trossard.
yeah,
No
absolutely.
excuse in those misses.
You give Ollie Watkins those 3 chances, he's scoring one of them, at least one. You know what I mean?
He's probably burying all 3 of them, to be honest.
BF Gunner said Arsenal are not ambitious, more failure and letdown incoming, in my opinion. Listen, when the window shuts, we will have a chance to um, run down our window and assess what
Uh,
we did in the window or
uh,
did not do. You know what I mean?
one thing I hope we're doing, Ray, is that we're looking at players' contracts at the end of the year, and offering them contracts now. Because fully honestly, we probably need 12 players.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at the end of the year, there's going to be a couple more players leaving or needing to leave as well. Maybe Thomas Partey being one of them. Uh, Tiger Gunner said Brzezicki hurt us from Dortmund, and we got him. So these are things that do happen. Players play.
Ray's
Isak
look alike.
Isak is going to be extremely difficult, but that's a player who showed his quality against us more than once this season. So yeah. Stan will be joining me next Thursday doing a transfer window roundup of next week. So we'll talk about that.
Did, did, but Watkins, none of his goals came from set pieces or
Yeah,
penalty kicks.
yeah. Here's the thing as well. Ollie Watkins. I don't know the England situation. Like Ollie Watkins is going to want to step forward and be England striker for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. And is Harry Kane that guy now? Right now, you know what I mean? Ollie Watkins will want to listen again. Facts. Arsenal are 10 points better off than Aston Villa in the league right now. We're a better team. We're not fighting for top four. We're fighting to win the league. We're fighting to win the Premier League. Let that sink in. We're not fighting to get into the top four, and Ollie Watkins knows that very well. We're a better team, and he could see himself in the number 9 position, Tony. You know. Anyway, listen, we'll round it up here in about 5 or 6 minutes from now. You're checking your watch. That means you need to eat something, right?
I just seeing what my sugar's sitting at. I'm fine.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I knew you were checking your watch, seeing what your sugar looks like right now. When did you eat last, Tony?
about when was it? About 3:30.
3:30, 7 or 8 hours ago.
Yeah.
Jesus. All right, listen, we'll round things up. We don't know what's going to happen. Isak is out of touch, out of our reach. Um, is interesting. Sesko is interesting. Ollie Watkins is interesting. You know,
I just want to go out of England to sign anybody.
you just don't. You want to go. You don't want to go out of England. You want to get a Premier League proven player. You know, a Brian Mbeumo was. I was pretty sweet on Brian Mbeumo. Um, Ollie Watkins. This is the kind of player that could win you a league, even this year, because Bournemouth. Let's just preview these games real quick at the weekend. Like I said earlier, Bournemouth. It's a very tight ground. It's a small. I think it's the smallest pitch in the Premier League. It's the smallest playing surface in the Premier League, and Andoni Iraola has got his players pressing the opposition really well. Another player, Semenya, another player of Bayern Bournemouth, who's a good one, who could come to Arsenal and do well. Semenya is a good player, but he's got these players pressing teams very well. I think Liverpool are getting tired. I think Liverpool have had a long season, and I think Arne Slot has used the same group of players over and over and over again. And I think Liverpool are becoming mentally drained and physically drained. We saw this last year. They had injuries impacting them. They won the Carabao Cup, but I think Bournemouth coming off beating Nottingham Forest 5-0 last week. I can't see Liverpool even getting a point in this game.
I think they will. I think they will.
All right. Now, what about Man City on Sunday, the big game? And we'll be going live probably right after, or a little bit after the end of the game. So do join us on Sunday. So
We're not.
we're playing at home to Man City, Tony.
We're not to make sure that we don't play down to them since their form's
Oh,
been
you
down.
sound like Gary. That
Wait.
sounds like something Gary would say. You've been on too many trips, Tony.
I said that before. It's like you.
Did he steal that from you, or did you steal that from him?
He probably stole it from me, but he'll never give me credit.
Yeah. He was probably like one day he heard you say that. He's like, "Oh, that sounds like something. I should use that. You know, I'll use it. Never give Tony any credit at all." Listen,
But it's the truth though, because you see these teams struggling, so you're like, oh, that's gonna be an easy game.
yeah,
Then you screw up, get one person out of their space, then they get a goal in the first 5 minutes,
yeah.
but then you're chasing the game for 90 more minutes.
There is no easy games, like we said in the Premier League anymore. There is no easy games. Arsenal struggled for large parts of that Wolves game, but you know you win Premier Leagues by getting results like we got at Wolverhampton Wanderers. You go there and you get a scruffy 1-0 win, you know, and that's what we've been very good at in recent years, going away from home and winning like that. We're gonna have to win quite a few games in the second half of the season. Now we're not up against Man City, so we're up against Liverpool, and I think my real hope is, and my feeling is that Liverpool are going to drop 3 points, drop, not win on Saturday. Now that leaves it up to Arsenal, and Arsenal need to get that dog mentality and need to go and need to go hunt and beat Man City.
You're always talking about these points, Ray, but you need to adopt my system. 3, 1, or 0.
Yeah.
So
Well,
instead of
Liverpool
win,
are
draw,
Liverpool are getting a 0, and Arsenal are getting a 3. Man City have looked like they're coming out of their slumber, but we need to kick them back into it. If we beat Man City, that'll kick them down into a race for a top four, into a top four race. And we need Man City motivated still because they have to play Liverpool in at the Etihad as well. And when we play Man City, that will be us done with Man City in the Premier League till the rest of the season. So get a positive result against Man City, and we can attack Liverpool and close that gap. Problem is most of our games are scruffy because the style we play is slow and predictable. Yeah, we may have to open it up a little bit, and we may have to open it up a little bit on Sunday. All right. So Tony, you got any final words before we leave?
you still have to watch out for City, even though I think players are looking for moves. One's with court stuff. The other one is you don't know when
We
the
need a
manager's leaving. He could leave this year, next year.
trust
Apparently
on
signed a
Michael.
year. Supposedly he signed a year, so we'll find out. But
Yeah. All right. Listen, we do thank everybody for being here who watched us tonight, have been joined us on the Thursday night forum. Enjoyed the chat with Tony here tonight. If you would just hit a like on the live stream, um, and we'll see you on the next one. Arsenal 2, Man City 1. We talked about a lot of things tonight. I don't know if the standard refereeing is going to ever um, change for us. The Michael Oliver Twist story. Champions League, some might say, I think Stan has said, it might be our better opportunity to win silverware. Although
come on, Ray, give me credit. I said it
you said it too.
a
Uh,
long time ago.
although I think once we get past, we beat City on Sunday, we've got a pretty decent run till the end of the season then, and we're going to meet Liverpool at Anfield. And I'll tell you what, if we have an opportunity to win the league going to Anfield, well, it's gives me shivers already. 1989 all over again. Thank you for pressing the like button, Tiger and Gooner. Really appreciate it. We'll talk a little bit more Aussie rules as the season moves on past March to September, and we'll have a look at for the Richmond Tigers as well.
And starting at 6 p.m. Saturday, me, Russ, and whoever else joined us will be watching the Royal Rumble for 4 hours, 3.5 hours, somewhere in there.
Check it out. Check it out, people. If you want to see what real refereeing is like as well, check out the Six Nations Championship that's going to start, where people who are watching the game from home, they're able to hear in real time a real referee coming to a real decision that is acceptable. And listen, decisions can go against you at times, but at least you hear what the fuckers are saying. You know what I mean? We're out of here. Thanks everybody. And that's the real thing that you want is transparency in anything. You know what I mean? We're out of here. We will see everybody hopefully on Sunday when Arsenal have beaten Man City and Bournemouth have been victorious over Liverpool. The gap will be 3 points and the Scousers will be shitting themselves. All right, take care, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. See you Sunday, and check out Tony's show. Take care, everyone.